Greetings and welcome to you, brave citizens of our new world. I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our layer 3.1. We are joined today, of course, by the Killing Chick. KC is here dressed up as yours truly. They say the greatest form of flattery is emulation, and I experienced it as being true. So, this is fantastic.
Oh, please.
You look wonderful. Thank you so much. And we've got questions from you guys that we're going to answer together. Starting with... This question may have been asked before, but perhaps not in this fashion. Of all of the actors who have become known for playing villains from the early days of Peter Lorre, Vincent Price, and Boris Karloff, through the days of Jeffrey Combs, Reanimator, and the like, up to today's random suits and terrorists, who would you say has inspired you the most, or thrills you when you watch his antics? I'm not talking about characters, mind you, I'm asking about actors. Who's your favorite? My favorite actors to play villains that I absolutely love watching are Jeremy Irons and Daniel Day-Lewis. They chew the scenery in a way that I enjoy so very, very much. Jeremy Irons did the voice of Scar in The Lion King. Daniel Day-Lewis was in movies like Gangs of New York. Fantastic actor. If you haven't checked those guys out, I highly recommend looking them up on IMDb. They're a huge amount of fun. What about you? Actors who play villains?
That's a good question. I have a villain in mind, but I don't remember the name of the actor.
Who's the villain?
He's one of the doctors, the one that has an endless forehead.
What?
That's how I recall him.
One of the doctors, like from Doctor Who?
Yes.
And he's a bad guy.
No, the actor plays bad guys too, and I like what he does.
But he also plays one of the doctors.
Yes.
David Tennant?
No, that's the sexy hurt guy that everybody loves for somewhat reason. The other one right after.
Matt.
Yes, Matt.
Okay, so the 11th Doctor.
Yes, this one.
Oh.
When he plays a sociopath, he plays it so well.
I can only imagine. I've actually never seen him in a villainous role before.
You can quite see it a little when the Doctor is starting to take pride into his title and realize that people tremble in front of him, and you can kind of see him turn a little bad, not too much, but you can clearly see the potential behind that.
Cool.
He's a good sociopath.
Very cool.
And I think he's the one who plays the bad guy in Terminator, the one that melts into silver and stuff like that. I think it's the one who did it. He was a bad guy.
I think he does.
Yes.
Was he in Terminator? Have you watched the tech horror anthology series Black Mirror? And if so, what's your favorite episode? Teagues, I have watched Black Mirror. It is not a show that I particularly enjoy. I got about 2 episodes in and realized that it was a television series that was about 2 things, and it was 1, how dangerous technology can be in the wrong hands, and 2, how monstrous human beings can be if given the right options through technology. And I, Dr. Terawatt, am the last person you need to tell that to. So I did not like this show. It was a little too close to home for me, a little too real, so I did not watch it. Is that some expansion of the cute little beard I see? Planning on going full Movember? A December beard, perhaps? Oh, do you mean this? Do you mean... Hold on, let me get in here. Do you mean this mess that I've got going along the side here that I'm attempting to keep on the jawline? Yes. I've decided to expand it a little bit. It began as I was too lazy to shave the little section between my sideburns and my chin music, as it were, and decided to just kind of make it a thing to kind of accentuate the jawline there a little bit. I don't know. I have a lot of people that thought I looked very good with a mustache when I grew one out a few years ago. I'm thinking about trying it again, but I get mixed reactions with it because I think it looks good sometimes. Maybe I just need to let it grow in a bit more next time around. I'm not necessarily sure, but it doesn't show up well in photos, so if I take a picture in black and white, it shows up perfectly. But if I take a picture in color, especially if I'm smiling, parts of it will disappear because parts of my mustache grow in blonde. So it just looks like I've got a weird patchy mustache that just vanishes. And it was also super itchy all the time. I don't like it. So yeah, I mean, I'm hard maybe on that. As our new dictator, how will you solve the kaiju problem we have now due to Godzilla's reign back in May? Spider Bros, I don't understand what everybody's deal is with kaijus and giant monsters and stuff. They're like, oh, these giant monsters, I sent a jet to fight the big lizard, and he smacked the jet, and now I guess that's it. We can't fight the lizard anymore. Like, do you not have any orbital space lasers? Do you not have any kind of, like, unit of machines or even people that could, say, enter in through its eye duct or something? It's the size of a city, most of these creatures. They have buttholes. Friggin' Ant-Man and Thanos that. Like, there's solutions to the problem. They said this back in the old Armageddon movie. Back in the 90s. If you light a firecracker and you have it on your open palm when it goes off, it'll burn you a bit and it'll hurt, sure, but you won't be suffering any damage. If you light a firecracker on your palm and then close your hand around it, you'd be lucky if you still have fingers at the end of it. So, oh, but we gotta use it to fight the other giant monsters. No, you don't! Stop it! What supervillain has the best rogues gallery? And who has the worst, in your opinion? Dodd, I think you mean superhero. Villains don't have rogues galleries. Heroes have rogues galleries, which is a group of villains that they need to fight. Villains have just a hero that they'll fight on occasion. And I've always thought it was so interesting that, like, a lot of villains will have one hero that they fight, and heroes will have a group of villains that they normally have to deal with. So, like, Spider-Man has, like, the Scorpion and the Rhino and Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin and,
Kingpin sometimes.
Kingpin on occasion. The Fantastic Four has Doctor Doom and Galactus one time. Dreadface. Like, all kinds of different, villains that they face off against, but a lot of these villains only have that one hero that they fight, oftentimes at the very least. So if I'm going like my favorite rogues gallery to a hero, that's hard because there's so many villains that I enjoy across fiction. Like, I really like Doctor Doom, so I think that's like a point for Fantastic Four. I love Dr. Octopus and some of the other villains that Spider-Man has to fight. I think they're quite clever on occasion. But I'm probably going to have to go with Batman, because Batman doesn't have any superpowers per se. He is a character-driven hero, which means that his villains are also, by extension, very character-driven. So, like, the Joker is an absolute, like, centerpiece when you're talking about villainy. And then one of my favorite supervillains of all time, Mr. Freeze. Dr. Victor Freeze was easily one of my favorite villains of all time, so, like, Batman definitely takes the cake on that one. He has so many interesting characters that he deals with. What about you?
I'm more of a Marvel girl, and I'm pretty much sold to the symbiotes.
Nice.
So, anything that tries to kill them, just get away from my babies, okay? So, Spider-Man would deserve a smack, I guess, and actually, I think that symbiotes do have kind of a rogue.
Yeah.
Which is anti-venom.
Yep. So basically then Spider-Man for Venom's sake.
Yes.
Cool. Alright. What is something we use every day, for example, utilities, vehicles, infrastructure, that you feel is long overdue for a major technological upgrade? It feels like computers, TVs, phones get all the updates, but cars still have 4 wheels. Trains still run on tracks. Electric whirs are still held up by poles. I think you mean wires. Windows are still glass, so let's change things up a bit. Put legs on a car, replace mirrors with TV screens. I want to hear your idea for something that could make more interesting, more convenient, or more practical. Definitely cars is the first one. When I was working with Dr. Edmund, like years and years ago, Professor Pandemonium, we were working on designing ion lifters that were attached to actuators on the bottoms of cars. Because a lot of our society infrastructure is built on cars that run on roads. So we can't just make flying cars, because our society is not built for flying cars. However, we could make electric hover cars. So cars that no longer need to run on the road. And by the calculations that we were able to put together through the ion lifters that we had designed, we could lift a car with 4 passengers and a full engine block with less energy than it would take to run the combustion engine. So it was very energy efficient, and because the vehicle is not bound by having to be on a road, it doesn't have to worry about terrain, how bad the road conditions could be, and a lot of the actuators would then have sensors on them to indicate where they are on the road and how far they are from the road so that they maintain that distance. ion lifters push against the Earth's electromagnetic field. So the Earth's own ionosphere, it like pushes against it to create lift. And things like EMS vehicles, police cars, fire trucks could obviously not be bound by those same restrictions and could fly up over traffic to get to and from locations quicker. So only emergency vehicles could basically fly, whereas everything else could just run on the ground. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And again, the reason why those technologies aren't prevalent is the same reason why electric cars are currently not being used, and it's money.
Money.
Money in the petroleum industry, ladies and gentlemen. Other things that I want to do, I mean, wires being held up by poles is really just a North America thing. They don't really do that anywhere in Europe. There's a guy named Ruslan, who is an electrician from Russia that I know, that says that they bury all their lines. And they think it's crazy that we have all of our lines on poles out here. They think that it's dangerous and insane.
It is.
And that's coming from Russian people. So if Russians are telling you what you're doing is dangerous and crazy, then you should probably listen. The reason why things like computers and televisions and phones get all the technological updates is because those are the areas in which technology is the most marketable. Bigger, crisper televisions, phones that can do more and hold more data and communicate with people faster and better, computers that can play better games and run better software and run more software and have larger hard drives and things like that, are all technology that are driven by consumer funding. So, like, computers, people buying computers is what funds better computers. The same thing with phones, same thing with televisions, like all of these things. It's consumer-driven markets for technology. Nobody cares about burying power lines except the government. So why would they do that? Other than to make things like either safer or easier. Sorry, I'm rambling a lot. These were some really good questions this week. I wasn't expecting that.
It is.
Having mirrors that are also TV screens, like big touchscreen vanity mirrors that are also like TV screens, so that like while you're, getting yourself cleaned up or shaving in the morning, putting on your makeup or something like that, you can have like a little thing going that's got the news on or something. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I don't know about that. I mean, like, you are baking to your occupation, and then there's that, and then you just realize how much of a messy person you are because all you see is fingerprints over it. That
It's
is
true.
the downside.
Actually, you know what? That's a good point. That's a very good point. What kind of technology would you like to see updated?
Honestly, I would go for communal transportation. Because the cost of production versus the utilization by the people is much more efficient.
Heck yeah! People won't ride buses and trains anymore. From now on, people will travel in tubes! How do you intend to disable Linkara's spaceship, Comicron 1, and the Angry Army space station, as they would be two major blockages to your conquest of the world? I myself personally used my future knowledge, I'm British, we have all the time machines, to insert a few extra bits of coding into Linkara's AI backup systems as a way to take over the ship. Unfortunately, Linkara discovered the additional coding and removed them and blew up my lair. Ooh, D-Strider, that's rough. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I'm a big fan of easy solutions to problems, which is things like, lasers. Lasers fix a lot of problems. We also have the atomic dismemberment theorem that we could use to just disintegrate whole parts of their ship should we need to. That being said, I don't see why we can't make friends. Like, if I'm taking over the world to make it a better place, I can't imagine why they wouldn't want to just continue living in their space stations, broadcasting their shows.
I agree.
The hero has made it to the final room of your lair, and you must now put them down yourself. You'll win, obviously. But how do you enter the room? I'm a big fan of the classics. Bombastic music, big door, maniacal laughter, fog machine, if appropriate. What type of bodyguard would a supervillain such as yourself choose? A badass cyber ninja, an augmented super soldier, or perhaps a quiet drone technician? Personally, I'd gun for the robotic spider centaur with chainsaw arms and a built-in targeting system for its electrocuted web shooters. I mean, I'm a big robots guy myself, but why would I need any of those things when I've got KC? Last question. So we put out a call to see if anybody would want to ask questions from our Discord community for Casey because she was visiting, and we're filming this on Saturday, the week ahead, because she's in town from Quebec. But the only question we got back was for Casey's boyfriend Hortag, who is here with us. Come on in.
Come on. No, you take the place.
There we go. Yeah, scooch in there. Hello, Hortag. How you doing?
Hey.
It's good to see you.
Very good.
So, as the barbarian king, how many wenches can you lift at one time?
I wish I had an answer to this, because back in my kingdom, a wench is not a unit of measure. So...
You never tried to, like, Gaston, like, just lift a bunch of girls at once?
Yeah, but they have weights of their own. It's not a static measure, like a meter,
True.
a yard, or a gallon.
No two wenches weigh the same.
If you told me a wench is about 80 pounds, I could give you an answer. It's gonna be for another
pounds?
time. What?
How small are these wenches? But, like, ballpark. Like, if each was, like, say, 130 pounds.
Well, I would lift them if they say yes.
Consensual lifting. See, I like that.
And I rarely ask. I'm much more into lifting heavy weapons.
Okay, so there we go. That's what it was. Okay. I was just like, oh, you always gotta ask for consent. It's like, no, I'm just not asking because I'm too busy lifting weapons instead of women. I'm like, oh, okay, well then, yeah, no, go for that. No, that's...
Yeah.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all the time that we have for today. So thank you so much for coming on out to watch our video. Thank you for leaving your questions in the comment section down below. If you want, please feel free to leave more questions in the comment section. If I didn't answer your question, leave it again. Feel free. And thank you, Hortag, for coming out. And Casey, thank you for coming to visit as well.
Health and slaughter.
And until next time, my brave citizens, I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is Ilea 3.1, and I'll see you on the warfront. End of line.
Bye.